Hello, Merry Christmas, and welcome to the Gotham Invasion Unfinished Project Commentary Part 5, and that was a huge mouthful. So, this is the last of the footage, and it doesn't really add very much story stuff except Nightwing, which is coming up in 3, 2, 1. There is Slade Wilson, who has an eye patch. I had to use the Nick Fury head because that's the only one with an eye patch, and that's close to Slade Wilson as I can make it look. I think this fight scene turned out fairly well. One thing I actively thought about was trying to make both Slade and Nightwing look very tough, but Nightwing was getting in most of the hits until right there. And then Batman comes in. I'm Batman. So they tied him up and everything, unconscious. And then this whole discussion was the same discussion that would happen about 30 trillion times in this film between Batman and whoever else it would be, telling them about the invasion and trying to convince them to join. Although this time he gets to mention the whole fear gas thing affecting him in such a way that he keeps seeing guns everywhere, including in his own hand, which could have supported a pretty good story if there was a story here, not just a bunch of random events happening. So they argue a little bit. There's a little bit of tension, but Nightwing agrees, and then they head off to the Batcave. Head off to the Batcave. Okay, now they're in the Batcave. I actually had this weird idea for the end scene, which is kind of pulling from The Incredibles, where Nightwing would be flying the Batwing, and then it would drop Batman in a pod down into the portal, so he wouldn't have to deal with the droids being in his way. He just smacked through them. But in the version I actually filmed, Nightwing's job was to use this little device that Riddler made to disable all droids in the area. And then there's a little moment here where he looks back at the Robin suit like, oh, you kept that. So I guess I'm recording this out of order because this is the scene where he recruits the Riddler. So the idea was he would jump down, and then it would accidentally be at the entrance, and then Riddler would have hooked up this thing at the entrance, which would grab onto his mask and would pull it off if Batman moved, which is such a bad idea for so many reasons. First off, how do you know that Batman wouldn't sneak in like he did? But he coincidentally jumped down in the exact position, and also the other flaw is the one that Batman actually uses. So Riddler's just getting really angry that Batman's insulting his intelligence. But Riddler's like, I have the upper hand. You're gonna risk your identity. Ha ha ha. And then he turns around. So Batman moved, let it pull off his mask, then stayed in the shadows as to not risk his identity but still be free. And he's right there. And in Gotham Invasion, what do people in Gotham do? They pull out guns. So Batman uses distraction intimidation, pushes him against the thing. And I had a really hard time getting this car to not constantly move around. So then Batman would just keep talking to him, convincing him, psychologically manipulating. He leaves, and also leaves a note for Riddler to read, which is telling him... Oh, also he grabbed his mask. Telling him to build a miniature constant EMP to take out the droids. Now it's time to explain an overly complicated scene. Okay, here's a cameo from Ra's al Ghul, not for any particular reason. He's introducing this other guy who becomes Mr. Terrific later in the comics. That guy up in the tower is Deadshot. He's trying to kill that dude. Bane's trying to stop him from killing that dude. That guy's trying to stop drug production, but the guy who hired Deadshot is Rupert Thorne, who's trying to help it. Bane goes, and then he stops the assassination plot. Then Batman later comes in, and then he tries to take out Deadshot, and it's needlessly complicated to say the least. And I tried to put as many characters in here, whether or not it actually made sense to. And then Deadshot's behind the building. And Bane sees him behind the building. Batman throws his smoke grenade in and then uses his cape as a bullet shield because it's supposed to be like the version that can block bullets with his cape. He tells the other dude to hide. Batman goes and tries to intimidate him, and then Deadshot turns around and gets smacked by Bane. And I'm finally done with this chaos. Oh, never mind, I'm not. Uh, Oops. What is this scene? I don't even remember anymore, but I'm almost done, so it's Alfred and Batman talking. Yay. Oh, sorry, I just remembered. This is a refilm of the other Batcave scene, in part one, I believe. And here is another needlessly complicated scene where Lex Luthor is trying to make a business deal with Bruce Wayne, and then he hasn't talked to Morgan Fox because he has to leave to go be Batman and then stop Two-Face with the suitcase, and then this is the last of the animation on this really, really badly made project. Although some of the animation and sets still look good in my opinion, overall I just didn't have any story to tell. It was just fan service. It was just, oh, wouldn't it be cool if we put Lex Luthor here, and then what if we put this guy here, and overall, I feel like this was one of the biggest wastes I have ever done. But oddly enough, people have been like, hey, when are you going to finish Gotham Invasion? I'm not sure what that says about me,